Cool. I'm Austin. I'm with the Revolutionary Communists of America. It's the American section of the Revolutionary Communist International. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the history of communism and the Communist Internationals, but we build our organization in the spirit of the Bolsheviks of 1917. You know, Lenin and Trotsky, we read Marx and Engels, and in short, we're fighting for international socialist revolution. I mean, capitalism is, expanded all over the globe, and it's infected every part of our lives, and so too must the socialist revolution. So what we are fighting for is the international victory of the working class. What we're building here is a party to help lead the working class to victory.
Do you feel the left has abandoned the working class and focused more on maybe identity and maybe moved pretty far away from class?
In general, yeah, especially if we're talking about like leadership, like the Democrats and the squad or whatever. Like, yeah, absolutely. No better proof of that is the response to the 2022 railroad workers strike, where they authorized a strike during Christmas and they voted it down. Congress voted it, they illegalized it, and they couldn't have done that without the squad. So absolutely, I think they're more concerned with identity than class. And I mean, that's more further proof is that there's no policy or platform really on Kamala's campaign site. It's all about identity, unfortunately.
With the core group that's out here, I believe is like the main organizers, USPCN. Have you guys done any comms with them, or is there any coordination, or are you kind of separate from their movement over there?
We are separate, we aren't signed on to the coalition. We don't entirely agree with all the points of unity, and generally that disagreement comes around the idea of the Democratic Party, honestly. Like, we don't believe that they will ever do anything for the working class, because they can't. It's not about getting some nice person in there. You can get Bernie in there, have fun, it's fine. You can put a communist in there. It doesn't matter. It's a material thing. We aren't their backers. We aren't these giant lobbies, these big businesses that pay their bills. So we don't have any illusions that we could ever pressure them to do what we want, because in the end, we're going to do what protects the bottom line of their backers.
Do you guys work with any of the Communist Party candidates in San Francisco County?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we are definitely open to that in the future, but ultimately we believe our party has to have a clean political banner, which means no conciliation, just this one time we're going to team up with the bosses or the Republicans or the whatever. No, we believe that we have to have a clean banner, and we hope to be, I'm sure, taking some seats in the future and maybe working with them in the future, but I'm not familiar enough to really comment.
Do you have any policy aims?
Policy aims, like our program?
Yeah, just like the trajectory of policies that you'd like to put in place, or...
Yeah. I mean, generally what we're looking for is, things like we've got 2-year paternity, maternity leave for childcare leave, basically, 20-hour work week, guaranteed income. These are all things that basically we would do to give the working class power that can't be taken away from them. And to show them what it means to have working class power and to have real reforms that aren't given to you but rather taken. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Trotsky, but Trotsky talks a lot about the transitional program and transitional demands. So for example, like the student encampment, they want to disclose and divest the funds from the school. Well, we would argue the way you do that is by, if you don't have a student union, make one and get that union linked up with the teachers union, and most importantly, the unions in the community expand this and make the entire working class of the community say, no, we are going to disclose and divest. We're not going to ask for some board to do it or some president of some college. We're going to make you do it, and we're going to replace that board with a board that is represented by workers, students, and faculty. And workers being from the community, students and faculty, and that is what we would say would replace the board, just as an example of like a demand that is transitional, that gets us out of this current system. Okay.
And are you guys operating out of Illinois, or?
So we're an international. So we are in Chicago. We have 7 branches in Chicago, or cells rather, but we're international first and foremost. So the headquarters is in England, but we are in about like 60 to 70 countries. We have activity. Ones that have papers, it's like 20 to 30, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you have any candidates in office yet, or?
Actually, we did. It's not something that we are, we're not electoralists or whatever. We don't see that as the end goal. There's no communist president that would save us. We need an entirely new system. But we also don't ignore electoral politics as a platform to, one, of course, if we can, take reforms for the working class, but ultimately give power to the working class and raise up their consciousness and their confidence, their unity. So in England, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Suella Braverman. She's like a right-wing identity politics, the other side of identity politics, anti-Muslim kind of stuff. But basically, Fiona Lawley, we had her they had some kind of interview, and she kind of took her down and got a lot of support. We decided, hey, we'll run somebody. And no, she didn't win, because I would be saying that right now. But drummed up a lot of support and showed people what it would look like to have an actual, working class candidate running, because it doesn't end at the election. It doesn't end at the rally. If we don't get what we want, we're going to say, hey, all right, the votes are cast. We didn't get it, but we still can. Every day we need to be working, and here's what you can do to organize to take it.
I come from a largely working class background. I still have 8 classes to finish for university.
Okay.
Nobody knows, right? But most of my family is working class. I'm like 10th generation American.
Hell yeah.
Why do you think the young people shouldn't kind of take better advantage of our current system? Why do you think a new system is so important, right? Even if it's like challenging or maybe even impossible in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this is basically, they should take every advantage they can get, of course. Like, yeah, it's here. It would be silly to be like, oh, we don't use that. That's a capitalist gift, or whatever. No, I'm going to take that and I'm going to work towards what I want. So I asked the question one more time.
Just basically, like, I come from steep working class background.
Got you.
Like people that were probably grappling for land in Oklahoma in the mid 1700s. But I probably have more of a pro-capitalist attitude, or like figure out how to use the existing system.
Why a new system?
Yeah.
So it's not about, the moral argument's easy. Everybody should have a house. Everybody should have a place to eat and good health care and good education and so on. It becomes a logistical argument at some point. Everything ends, and just like feudalism ended and capitalism overtook it and did a revolution around the world, so too we believe will socialism, but not automatically. It's something that we have to plan for. So it's a logistical argument, and I think a good example is Chicago. So in Chicago, there are about 360,000 vacant housing units, and that doesn't count like buildings or just like vacant buildings. That's like ready to go beds, housing units, 360,000. The most conservative estimate of homeless in Chicago is about 6,000 to 7,000, and the most liberal estimate is 70,000 to 80,000. Regardless, let's just cap it at 100. You could house them 3 times over, and that's counting whole families. So like if 5 homeless people are all a family, it counts them in that number. So we wouldn't even need that much. It's a logistical argument. They're not going to put those people in there because it would lower your rent. People would say, what the heck, why do they get free housing in these nice places? Why do I work so hard for nothing? Or another, just you go to any grocery store in Chicago, you're watching them throw out food that the workers that work there can't afford to buy. And we're all hungry. It's ridiculous. It's a logistical argument. It's not about like, oh, this is morally correct. It is morally correct. Well, Trotsky says, we'll let the moralists decide what is right. It's a logistical argument.
Okay, last question. Are there policies that you're working on right now that you want to highlight?
No, not actively like we're not.
Is it more of a social movement?
Yeah, we're not trying to win the leadership of any kind of, the Democrats or this union. We're always trying to win the confidence and build up the confidence of the rank and file members of those parties, those organizations. So we're not like appealing and trying to make these platforms. We're trying to say, hey, you should basically take control of your own organization, your own union, whatever, and implement these platforms. And the platforms being transitional demands that get us out of capitalism, that give power to the workers that can't be taken away.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, nice to meet you.